All right, guys. So I've been thinking recently since season 2 has dropped and Embiid has dropped recently, and I was really thinking who would be the best superstar for free-to-play players to have. And the only conclusion I could come to is it has to be Jayson Tatum. Now, JT is, as I've said, and probably everyone knows, he is the most versatile player in the game. He allows you to be a big man and also a scorer, like a guard, if you really want to, like score like that. And I'll just go over the things that I think that make him great and why he fits that role, and essentially explain why I think he's probably the best free to play superstar that free to play players should get. So if you look at his perimeter stats and you compare him to a great scorer at his position like KD, he's a much better, not much better, but he's a better three-point shooter, better stealer, around the same level of block, just slightly better in terms of rebounding, better passer, much better movement. The movement is really very, very, very important. Much better consistency, so he can't really, when you get hit by screens and stuff, you'll be able to recover. And if you compare him to a big man like Gasol, it's actually kind of crazy. Well, he obviously will have better shooting based stats. The dunking is not that far off. Layup and close is a little bit off. I'm not gonna lie, and mid range is, but the rest of the stats aren't that much crazy. He's not that far off rebounding. He's not that far off in terms of contests and blocking. Passing, he's much better. He's much better at vertical, which is very important for rebound range and blocking range and timing. He's much better at movement. Same with consistency. He's not that far off in strength. So when you compare him to like one of the best scorers at his position, and then if you compare him to one of the best centers in the game, he's still very, very good. It's actually very crazy to think about there, but yeah, like he's just so good in terms of that. And then in terms of a potential build, I haven't really seen what many JTs are running, but I would think you really want to build him either one of like three ways. I just showed you his max 3 build you could get. You can give him something in terms of movement with fearless charge here, because you want to give him some vertical to help with his dunk accuracy and his layup accuracy for the move that I'll be showing that you can spam. You could also give him obviously aerial bombing for his dunk and his vert, and also you might this is just an option. You might want to give him something more in strength. So a strength build or something would actually be pretty good for this character. In terms of his talents, I don't really think there's that many talents. Like as a free player, you don't really need a lot of this stuff. It helps you in terms of like because all of his other stats that you're able to buff in terms of when he scores and like his passive skill, when he scores, he gets an extra stack in his passive. Like as this one specifically, it gives you anytime he does a highlight. This is something you actually really want, but he doesn't give you anything in movement. So that's where the potential build for movement and vertical could actually be really helpful. But I'd say domination is something that you really want in terms of unlocking a skill for him. This side block would actually be very good as well, because it gives you this movement ability. He gets movement speed in when you're holding defensive stance, which is good, and he gets 270 block angle, so he has a side block, which is very, very good as well. And then in terms of another move that you would like to unlock, now I haven't really seen both of these moves being used by players. Like this dunk, or I think this could also be a layup, I think. And this floater, like I don't really see these being used by the top players in the game. Whenever I do run into any Tatums, I don't really see this. But I definitely say the domination skill, the side block is something you might really want, and then this fade, this is a great way to score. Especially if you build them with strength, this move could really be helpful in terms of like creating contact for setting up another move that I will get into later on. And then also you can do this with the jab, which I rarely see people take advantage of. I'm not gonna lie, I rarely see people use the jab, but yeah, that would be a great move to also get. So those are the only like 3 I would recommend. In terms of enhancement, you'd really want him to get him to enhance level 2 for the stack of his passive. And yeah, I think that's the bare minimum you really want this card at. In terms of his skills, now I'm just going to be talking about why I think this is the really big reason why I don't think or why I think he's such a great card as a free to play player, or something like as free to play players should aspire to get, because the top players, this is all they do. Like when you see a Tatum, they just get into this range, they kind of body you for a little bit, they relax, and then boom, they get right into the dunk or the layup. It's very, very hard to stop unless like there's two persons in the paint, or you're really predicting like, oh, he's gonna take the dunk or he's gonna take the layup, because you can't get too far away from him, you can't get too close to him. If you get too close, he'll just do the dunk. If you get too far, he'll switch modes and do the step back. It's a really like do or die situation. You pick your poison. You really don't know what's gonna happen, unless, as I said, there's two persons in the paint that is deterring him from like getting the dunk or layup off, and you just closing out and making sure that he doesn't take like the step back. So that's the only way I've really seen, or like you can stop what Tatum is able to do. And obviously, as you can see there, that's another tactic I see a lot of players do. Like they'll get into that post up, get that animation where they get the contact off, they bump, and then it'll switch modes and take the step back, whether it be a three, whether it be a mid range. That's a very great option for scoring in terms of with this character. And then obviously you can use him as a guard. You can just switch him, keep him in perimeter mode, and he has pretty good dribble combos. I actually seen a lot of times where Tatum causes that stumble animation. I think his step back is very, very similar to Luka's, where it can be kind of fuzzy in terms of the contest range or contest angle, in terms of when you're able to like create a contest on him. So that's another great part of this card. But guys, let me know down below, who do you think might be the best card as a free to play player that you could get, that doesn't really need much talents or anything like that, that would be very, very effectful, or someone that I think would be better in the long run without that many enhancements. But yeah, let me know what you think down below, guys, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.